Thank you, Dan. And while we're welcoming our virtual guests, June 6th is Gary Hirsch's birthday, so let's do a happy birthday, Gary, all right, at the camera back there. Happy birthday, Gary. All right. And also, home hospitality. How many of you went to the one at George Larson's Car Cave on Friday? Was that fun? Thank you, George, and thank you. The generosity of Jim Engel helped pull that one off, too. So we had some great home hospitalities last week. So that was lovely. And now I get to give Mr. Clark Goding. He is our Cookie Monster sponsor for the day. So while he's coming up, let's give George... So let's give Clark a thank you because he gets the official Rotary tote bag for the extra cookies and the coveted Cookie Monster badge that he can wear proudly. So here you go, Clark. Thank you. All right. So you gotta love the guy who buys the cookies, says our speaker. So don't we agree with that? So thank you again, Clark. So I get to now introduce Mark Stegeman, who teaches financial history and business administration at Eller College and needs no introduction, mainly because he doesn't want one. So come on. So come on up, Mark.
It's my pleasure to introduce the main event. My colleague Joellen Russell is a world-renowned oceanographer at the University of Arizona who pioneered the collection of ocean data from floating devices all around the world. She showed that ocean conditions have surprisingly large effects on weather, and her data have greatly improved weather forecasting, which benefits everybody. Joellen is a University Distinguished Professor, the highest honor that our university awards, and holds a Thomas Brown Distinguished Chair for her teaching. She teaches a terrific general education course in oceanography that has attracted thousands of students. She received her degrees from Harvard and the Scripps Institute. Before joining U of A, she was a research scientist at Princeton. I have worked personally with Joellen on several administrative tasks at U of A, where she expresses independent viewpoints so skillfully and intelligently that no one gets upset. I'm still working on that. She is in every way a great asset to the University of Arizona, and we are fortunate to have her speak to us today about her groundbreaking, maybe I should say wave-breaking, her groundbreaking research. Thank you.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me. I do get accused of being the weirdest person anybody's ever met. What do you mean you're doing oceanography from the middle of the desert? But what people don't understand is that we don't have a great big ocean next to us to keep us cool, right? We got to have our air conditioners. We don't have fantastically large, dense forests with lots of water vapor. It doesn't rain here as often as we'd like. And that means that we're basically following the global mean temperature. And you want to know what sets the global mean temperature? The ocean. That's right, exactly. So everybody says, well, does that mean you're a marine biologist? I'm like, no, I'm a terrible biologist. I can't remember names for crap. Ooh. Another, and I'll apologize now before I do anything really bad, because another word for oceanographer, sailor. So I'll try to behave. But, so I like to start here. This is a photo that was taken from the Voyager probe at the last second before it flew out of our solar system. And Carl Sagan, very, very, very smart man, called up NASA and said, hey guys, have Voyager turn around and take a picture of home. And they did. And this is the picture. This is the pale blue dot. I know you can't hardly see it. And there's a reason, because we are tiny in this great big solar system, in this vast universe. And we've found thousands of planets orbiting other suns through the universe with our Kepler mission and others. Some have done right here, at the University of Arizona. Our astronomy is extraordinary. Our planetary science is outstanding. But here's the deal. We're the only blue planet that we have ever seen. And we're blue because we're 72% ocean. Only 28% of our surface of our planet is land. So all of us 8 billion people live on that 28% of our planet's surface, which is the land part. The 72% is ocean. And I just want to point one little thing out, which is, did you know that PhD level oceanographers, and the reason I know this is because I'm actually the United States representative to the International Association of Physical Sciences of the Ocean, which is under the UN's science component. And so there's only about 6,000 PhD level research oceanographers in the world out of 8 billion people, and we're responsible for 72% of the Earth's surface. How you like them apples? No pressure. So let me show you our blue planet, this incredible ocean that everybody likes to take for granted, but which is now doing an incredibly heavy lift for us, is how we figured out how to go from a 3-day forecast to a 5-day forecast to a really excellent 10-day forecast. Really excellent. And the reason is robot floats. Robot floats and better supercomputers have led us to better prediction. So you can get out of the way if there's a hurricane coming. And we're now working on things like drought, things like heat waves. How long will they be? How hot will they get? How hot will your night times be? You know, what will be the evaporation from the land surface? That's where we're headed. Now, this I always get, when I put this up, this animation, my students all go, ooh, look at the pretty satellite data. But that's not satellite. That is a 3-kilometer simulation of our atmosphere ocean global system, run by the Geophysical Fluid Dynamics Laboratory at Princeton, which is a National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration lab. Okay, that lab created this coupled ocean atmosphere model. Okay, all right, I'll just admit, I'm one of the co-authors on this. I did the ocean component, and it is now where you get your Weather Service forecast. The Weather Service adopted it in 2016, and we have been predicting your weather now for 10 years. Not me. The Weather Service runs all this, but they're now using an ocean atmosphere model, not just an atmosphere model, because the ocean has a memory and an influence over our weather that was unappreciated. So this is our 3-kilometer simulation. It's really fabulous. So once upon a time when I was really young, I thought, wait, maybe if our weather models get so good, we can use them to do better kind of climate prediction. Are we going to get warmer, colder, you know, et cetera? That's not what happened. What happened was we got so good at the climate models that we use them now for the weather. And all I'm saying when I say climate model is it's got an ocean. Now, why do we not want to run models with oceans? Because they're expensive. You know, our atmosphere by itself is about 40% of the total runtime that's required. I do a lot of computer science when I'm not doing oceanography. So did you know that we are, at the University of Arizona, one of the 30 climate modeling centers in the world developing these models? Yep, we are. I'm sorry, we're too poor to be one of the absolute best. We are in the 68th to 70th percentile, depending on what metric you look at. So we're in the top third, you know, but we crushed the Russian model and the Chinese model, I'll just point out. And the Saudi Arabian model shouldn't even really be counted, I'll just say. But you know, we did this with undergrad labor. Our undergrads ran this as a class project. Now, the reason that the ocean's changing so fast, this is the atmospheric carbon dioxide. All right, anybody here who thinks it's the volcanoes driving the increase in atmospheric CO2, I invite you to try to find the Pinatubo eruption or the El Chichon-Ragung eruptions on this plot. You can't see it, and there's a reason. Because if I took the trend out, which is from all of the tankers and tankers and tankers and pipelines of oil and gas that we burn, if I took this out, what you would see is El Nino. And guess what we've got coming right now? Has everybody heard about this? We have What NOAA and I got to say my own damn eyeballs are telling me is the world's biggest ever El Nino is brewing right now. It's already here. That what NOAA is going to call it any day now, that it's here. It's going. And so we're looking at record-breaking worldwide temperatures. And when I say record-breaking, I don't mean like it just barely bumped over by a smidge. It's going to smash global heat records. I am a little worried about our my air conditioning costs this summer. I keep yelling at the kids, turn that off, it's too early. So this is the total atmospheric radiation budget. Basically, the more CO2 we have in the atmosphere, basically the more, it's like putting down in your sleeping bag. So when you were kids, you were basically living in an atmosphere that was kind of like the Walmart cheapo down sleeping bag, you know. It was so thin that if you took it up to the Grand Canyon, you'd freeze your butt off all night, you know, those kind of sleeping bags. Today, because of the increasing atmospheric CO2, you're basically living in a Mount Everest level sleeping bag, and there's no way to put a leg out. I'm serious. We are roasting in here because it is so warm. But we're getting to the cool ocean part. You ready for this? The ocean is doing a really big favor. Okay, so what is causing all that? This is actually a measurement of the radiative impact, so how much down is being stuffed in by each one of the different kinds of components of our atmosphere. And the light blue is the carbon dioxide. If you burn anything, I don't care whether it's wood or plastic or oil or gas or coal or, you know, anything, if you burn something, it is probably putting carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It's a long chain hydrocarbon, and that's what's happening. So that's the CO2 problem. That's the radiative impact. That's how much longer and hotter our summers are here in Tucson. This is what the global atmospheric temperature anomaly in the atmosphere looks like. This is the 10 hottest global years. 2024 was the hottest year. Now it's 2025. The last 12 years are the 12 hottest. It's not your imagination. This is just more down in the sleeping bag. More CO2 in the atmosphere makes us very roasty. That's how that physics works. So Arizona is the third fastest warming state in the nation. New Mexico is second. Poor bastards. They've got even less water than we do. Tucson is the third fastest warming city in the nation, and our friends up in Phoenix are number 4. Yeah, Arizona, woo! That's a little scary, isn't it? So what that looks like is days above 110 if you're out in Yuma. We've got an increase of 12 days over the last 30 years. If you're looking at days over 105, we've got an increase in 20 days. And the reason I feel this is I'm a mom, and if I can't put my kids out to play, I want to murder them. I love them dearly, but oh my God, they need to play outside. And I have to get up at 5, all of you, we get up at 5 to walk our dogs so they don't burn their little doggy feet, right? You know, it's longer summers, cabin fever time for us when it's not safe to put your little ones out because, you know, over 90 and you have to worry about heat stroke. My daughter is 15 and she went out to ride her bike and I thought, no big deal, right? Whoop-de-doo. And she came home with heat stroke. Do you know what I mean? Headachy, you know, flushed, hot, you know, the whole itchy, you know, the whole thing. It's terrifying how much more careful we have to be than we used to be. That's 3 weeks more of days with 105 degree temperatures. 3 weeks longer. That's a lot. This is also, so here's the annual mean temperature change in the United States. Here is the drier versus wetter, is the brown versus the green. And that's partly because as our atmosphere warms, it's actually pushing our jet streams in both the northern and southern hemispheres. It's pushing those jet streams towards the pole. So this warming actually has an impact on where the winds are. And the winds, the westerlies, are the water delivery device for Arizona, right? Our wintertime rain comes when the jet dips to us. What that plot is showing you is that it is not dipping to us as often. And this is long term. So when we start talking about the Colorado River Project, we start talking about what we're going to do about, you know, Tucson has been is world known for its incredible water management. The fact that we were early and often to pump water back down, you know, our aquifer is actually rising, not dropping, which is a shocker. These are amazing things, but they're still coming. So climate prediction needs, when we talk about these models that we're running at the university and worldwide and at NOAA, we have increasing heat waves, we have increasing drought, we have increasing floods. You know, that car tipped over is actually not far behind my house in the floodwaters there. And I'll just say that we're hiring and producing students that are becoming the next high-tech labor force. Well, so global warming is really ocean warming. Did you know that 93% of the heat that down bag is creating, 93% is being absorbed by the ocean? The part that you're experiencing is the 3%. There's a little bit that goes into melting ice, which is making sea levels rise. There's a little bit that's going into warming the land surface, which we all know about. But it is mostly, see the pink line down at the bottom, that's the atmospheric warming that's killing us. The blue parts are the ocean warming. Yeah. And so mixing the ocean is like turning your air conditioner up or down. Do you need more cooling or less cooling will depend on how much mixing happens in the ocean. So why do we have to use these coupled ocean atmosphere models to do the weather? Because depending on whether we're mixing up the cold water or not mixing up the cold water, completely changes our weather. That's why they switched in 2016 to a coupled model. So I use the warming stripes because the lower atmosphere and the ocean's the bottom part, and then the big block in the top that's getting so hot, that's our atmosphere. And that's from basically 1950 to today. This is the warming observed by all the different temperature measuring platforms we have. Satellites, thermometers, balloons, and then floats in the ocean, ships, moorings, platforms of all varieties, AUVs, etc. The only part that's turning blue is the stratosphere. That's where the planes fly at the upper end there, and it's cooling because all of the heat's being trapped in the lower atmosphere and ocean. It's like it's like your tent. If you get a thicker down bag, your tent will be colder. That's our tent, and our tent is getting colder. And I'll just say that when so I make my students do this thing where the thermal wind equation says the bigger the difference in the temperature, so if it's a little difference in temperature, the winds are weak. If it's a big difference in temperature, the winds are cranking. Anybody feel like it's gotten a little windier? It has! Oh my God, it's gotten windier. And it's not just a little bit in just a couple of places, it's worldwide windier. And it's because our tent is getting colder, our stratosphere is getting colder, and our atmosphere and ocean are getting warmer, hotter, hotter, hotter. So instead of looking at sort of a warmer, more stagnant world, we're looking at a windier, wilder, warmer world. So I know this is maybe an unpopular opinion, but when they ask you if you should bury the power lines, just say yes. Just say yes. It's safer, it's a long-term investment, but if it's going to be this much windier, and there is no way to fix this. You saw this is over 40 years, right? This isn't new. It's not going to change tomorrow. It isn't cyclical. This is it. This is our planet. This is what we're living with. And I would bury the power lines. I would just do it, and rather than have it, get knocked down another 5 times. So it is actually the law of the land. The 1973 Clean Air Act actually does cover carbon dioxide as a pollutant. And the reason I know that is because the Supreme Court ruled that way in 2007. They ruled that, and they cited one brief. It was the scientist brief where the scientist just said, the science is solid. Here's why we think it is. Here's all the publications. It's solid. And then they ruled and they cited just that one brief. And I will, for my sins, I'm one of the people who wrote that brief. There are 13 of us. So the U.S. carbon dioxide emissions are decreasing from 2007 to today. I know, it sounds like a little coincidence, doesn't it? Because that's when they ruled. But we actually have reduced our emissions while growing our economy and our population by more than 20%. Did you even realize that we are dropping faster in carbon dioxide emissions than any other country on Earth? Yeah, that's us. We're the good guys now. I'm serious. Look at China, though. That orange line, that's China. Holy God. I honestly would take it to the World Trade Organization and be, look, they're polluting. Make them quit. But it's fantastic. So U.S. energy consumption, we basically have switched more and more to things like nuclear, wind, solar, hydrothermal, geothermal, and hydropower. And if some of those sounded familiar, it's because Arizona is a leader in places like hydropower, nuclear. We have the biggest producing reactor in the country, Palo Verde. And you know what it drinks for water, right? Everybody knows. It's toilet water from Phoenix. And we got enough for a second one. I'm serious. I'm like, I know. A lot of toilets flushing up in Phoenix. A lot of the new generation capacity is solar, battery storage, wind, natural gas, and some natural gas, and a little bit increase in nuclear. There will likely be bigger as these new plants are being built out, the smaller reactors. So where does all that carbon dioxide go? Half of it from everything you burn, right? So 50 cents on the dollar of the carbon dioxide that comes out of your tailpipe. Half of it hangs out in the atmosphere for the next 600 years. Oh, yay. 1/4, 25 cents on the dollar, goes into the ocean, and 1/4 is taken up by the land plants. They just eat it like it was fertilizer. I'm quite serious. They turn it into more green. So what I do is we know a lot about this stuff in the atmosphere. You saw that CO2 curve. We know a lot about what's in the atmosphere and how long it stays there. But the ocean is a lot harder to measure. And since the end of the Cold War, we don't have nearly as many ships that we used to, and the US barely builds them anymore. Honestly, they want to charge us $2.5 billion for a new research icebreaker for the National Science Foundation, and I could buy one from Finland today for $200 million. Oh. But we're not allowed. We're not allowed because it's not U.S. construction. Okay, so we're trying to reduce the uncertainties in the ocean sink of both heat and carbon dioxide so that we can forecast the weather better and figure out what to do next. And also, I'll just say that it's really hard to see. So anytime China does really horrible things with coal and stuff, they tend to blame like their forests. Oh, we had a forest fire. That's why it's burning, blah, blah, blah. It's not true, but they do this. They play this sort of shell game and try to say, where's the carbon, like where's the P? And that, I want to stop that. No more shoving things under the ocean rug ever. And I want to be able to nail them for all the things that they're doing, that they shouldn't be doing. So we have robot floats. We are going to sea is hard. It is miserable out there. One of my first cruises into the Southern Ocean, I was trying to drop a temperature sensor off the back fantail. There's just a chain across the back. And it turned out that the first mate had gone to get a cup of coffee and wasn't on the winch. I had a line on my back. And a rogue wave literally grabbed me and tried to dump me over the side. And it just happened that I got my steel-toed boot stuck in the hook on the side of the fantail. Just happened. I couldn't see anything. I was underwater. It was so cold. Thought I would die. I was sure I was done. And that if the winch grabbed me, that I'd run into the propellers. Like, this is what's going through my head. But sure enough, I got my boot stuck, steel toes, saved my life. And yes, I did dump that temperature sensor off the back. We did get the data. But it's hard doing it from ships, and it's incredibly expensive. It costs $50,000 per day for a bare boat, just the ship. And that is like, so 2 days of ship time is $100,000. And that's without the people and the equipment and stuff. So what we've been doing is putting in these robot floats. See that orange tube? That's my student, Becky Beedling. She's now a professor at Temple University. She's doing so well. I know. And she's tiny. She's shorter than the float. She's not very big. But she muscles that puppy in there. It is very awesome. And we have not replaced our ships, but supplemented them in a way that, so now we're using robot floats, supercomputers, and satellites to see the future. It is so much fun. And our students here at the University of Arizona are trained to do this. So those are the tracks of the ones we've deployed around Antarctica. We started there because the Southern Ocean is where most of the mixing happens. Really seriously. The deep water comes all the way to the surface from 30 football fields down. And it's because the westerlies down there have no speed bumps like the Himalayas or the Rocky Mountains or the Alps. It's just water, and they just roar. They're almost 30% stronger down there. This is my student, Hannah Zanowski. She grew up in Scottsdale, and she's now a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She deployed our first ever of these floats in 2014, I want to say. And I I wrote that white paper here and I gave it to my dean and I said, I really want to submit this to the National Science Foundation. I need your support. And he said, nope, you're too young. You can't have one of those slots. So I called my friend Jorge Sarmiento at Princeton University, where I used to work, and said, hey, Jorge, can you get a spot at Princeton? And he said, let me call him. So in fact, it was headquartered at Princeton for the first 10 years. And this year, we're moving it home to Arizona. So it's pretty exciting. So Hannah, Arizona born and bred, is now a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I teach this very large oceanography class at the University of Arizona. It's somewhere between 300 and 1,000 students, depending on the year. And she sent me that photo in the bottom right, and she said, this is a picture of my big oceanography class. It's going to be bigger than yours. Love her so much. So we started with no floats. This is our global array. This is us. This is now. Seriously, it was a labor of love. It has been incredibly difficult, but we don't have enough ships, so we're just going to have to get sneaky. This is us planning in 2012 with 9 of the 10 float deploying countries in the world now. But just by the way, our array is still 92% American funded. Everybody wonders why our forecasts are now better than the Europeans, and 10 years ago they weren't. I know, I got the proof, baby. Receipts. So this is the data. I just want to show everybody what it looks like. This is just the oxygen in the ocean, and where it's dark brown is where it's upwelling, and then where it's bright green is now where it's growing. Chlorophyll increases. Fish, basically. Phytoplankton, zooplankton, fish. I know. So now what we're doing is working on assimilating all that data. We're starting a new partnership with Amazon Web Services. Turns out one of my grad students has his PhD and is now a hoo-ha at Amazon Web Services. So we are doing a big public-private partnership to use AI to improve our forecasts even further. Yep, and to do the carbon dioxide as well. It's very exciting. So we made the front page of the New York Times above the fold, and they even did a digital interactive because we are open data crazy people. We make everything available. We make the code available. We make the calculations available. We make the data visualization available. We make everything available. You can find us online at the university. And they made this digital interactive on the New York Times website so everybody could actually see the upwelling and the melting. One last thing is it's actually kind of hard. I'm so grateful that you guys were willing to let me come and talk to you today, because trying to tell people about oceanography when they had none of it in school, right? Zero. No oceans. Most people still don't have any oceans. Guess how many oceanographers work in Oklahoma or Montana, where I grew up? Zero. None. They don't have any. Arizona has oceanographers, but other states inland just don't have any. And it's absolutely essential. So we write papers and we teach lots of students, but I also impart, I have a side hustle, which is, totally nonprofit, et cetera. Mackenzie Scott Bezos is actually who gave us the money to do this. Thank you, Mackenzie. And so it's a bunch of moms who are also climate scientists for their day jobs. And we had a Super Bowl ad this last year.
What's the plan to solve climate change? Science Moms present What to Do You.
I know, it's silly. You can check us out at Science.
To my smoochy babies, Maeve and Joseph. I loved you before you were born. Even as I chose my career as a climate scientist, the joy and wonder that growing up on the Chukchi Sea gave me, I am determined to give you. Even as the Tucson summers get longer.
Somebody poke the button.
To my smoochy babies, Maeve and Joseph. I loved you before you were born. Even as I chose my career as a climate scientist, the joy and wonder that growing up on the Chukchi Sea gave me, I am determined to give you. Even as the Tucson summers get longer, the saguaros wilt in the heat, as we get up earlier and earlier to hike, and we depend more on our AC, I chose this life to help build a better world for you. I hope when you're grown that you'll forgive me for being the tired mama, the obsessed with the new data mama, because the climate is changing so fast and will affect your world so much that I've had to become your gladiator science mama so I can fight every day for you.
So we're going to keep doing this work here at the University of Arizona, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You have time for questions. Questions?
Anybody have questions?
Doc?
Thank you very much for that super interesting talk. Really appreciate it. And I apologize. The entire time you were speaking, I was exhaling carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. No, this very morning in the New York Times, there's an article, they are decommissioning 900 ocean buoys, data collection buoys. What do you think? Are they out of date, or what's
Okay,
the problem?
so generally, I'm really worried. I have 7 proposals in at the National Science Foundation. I have a near 2/3 hit rate usually, and they just have not gotten back to me for over a year. I'm just sitting here going, okay, now what, right? We're laying people off at the university, and there's work I can't do. Now, we still have funding to do stuff, but so generally I'm pretty unhappy with how the science funding is going. And I'll just point out, in case anybody thinks this is a partisan thing, science funding grows faster under Republican administrations traditionally. It's right now that's weird. It is normal for science funding to be considered our seed corn for the next big thing. And so I'm shocked at how badly things have gone off the rails, how quickly, and I'm really worried about it. But on the other hand, for those boat moorings, I have been advocating for about 10 years to yank those puppies because they are useless. I'm okay with that. Please don't tell my friends.
Thank you for being here. Extremely interesting. I thought I heard a few months ago that the ozone hole closed. Was that true? Or?
The ozone in September over the Antarctic is in fact recovering a little bit. However, the ozone hole is now lasting into January. It should normally be closing in November. So I actually have a new paper coming out on exactly this and why I think it's happening and what I think is going on. We used to worry about the ozone destroying chemicals being the reason we had such a big ozone hole, and that was true. We had ozone destroying chemicals, but now it's because of the down bag problem. It's the carbon dioxide which is not allowing it to get any warmer, and the colder it is, the more likely there are that there are ice particles in the stratosphere, and those ice particles are like death stars for ozone destruction. You stick one chlorine molecule to it and it just mows down thousands of ozone particles. So the colder it gets, the more likely it is to keep being injured.
Is there any plan for thinking of desertification? The trees, the saguaros are beginning to dry up. What does it look like in 30, 50 years?
Well, I'm praying that our monsoon gets bigger, because as it warms on land, if the ocean weren't warming so quickly, the condition would be more warming on land, less warming in the ocean, and we'd move more water in the summer. Unfortunately, I don't see a good recovery plan unless. So the U.S. is dropping emissions really quickly. We used to be 22% of the global economy and 21% of the global carbon dioxide. Today, we are 22% of the global economy, and we are 11% of the global carbon dioxide. In about 6 years, if we stay on the current trajectory, we will be 6%. Now, we do this all by ourselves right now because we don't tell anybody about it. It's like we're keeping it as a very closely held secret that we're awesome. And we're making our economy more and more efficient and less hostage to overseas actors, et cetera. But So if the world went with us, if we were not alone in dropping so quickly and innovating so fast, we could actually solve a big chunk of our carbon dioxide problem. And the second that curve flattens out, we basically will hold the water at about the same level. I am worried. I am worried about our saguaros. Most of our trees depend on wintertime rain to get the deep roots watered. So, yeah. Right now, my mom says, and my mom says it's like we're running out of the burning building of the past. You can't stay there. You can only pick up what you can carry. What do you want to take with you into the future? And as scientists, we're just trying to shine a little bit of light on the path in front of our feet so we don't fall on our faces. But everybody here is going to be making choices about what are we taking with us? What are we giving to our grandchildren? What are we giving to our kids? What do we love most? And if it's our saguaros, we need to get the rest of the country and the world to follow the Arizona example. Arizona has one of the best mixes. We literally could be the first state to go relatively carbon neutral. We're that close. It's not a joke, actually. And a lot of that has to do with our backbone hydropower and our backbone nuclear power, and really fantastic water management. So I moved here from Princeton University, and I got a lot of teasing, but I don't regret it for a second. I am right where I want to be for the incredible future we're looking at. I mean, there are choices to be made here.
So I think you've kind of answered that, but what are the components that are leading to our decline in CO2 emissions? And particularly, how much do electric vehicles lend to that, and should I buy one?
I'll just say, I 2 years ago, I bought a hybrid with 3 rows of seats, Toyota Sequoia, and I love it so much. I cannot tell you how much I love my truck. But there are two parts of this. One is companies like ExxonMobil. I know everybody worries about them, but they went into natural gas in 2007. Rex Tillerson took them into natural gas. And he addressed his shareholders and said, we are not just the world's greatest oil company. We are the world's greatest liquids moving company. And he took them into natural gas, and they actually lost money for the first few years. But now they're bigger than Gazprom in Russia. And of course, the amount of energy we get per unit burned for natural gas is much bigger than any other fossil fuel. So less carbon dioxide, more energy is a smart business move. However, the main way that we've been decreasing is not just fuel switching, it's also efficiency. Every time you buy an appliance, every time you update, every time you recycle, my kids are like, Mama, you didn't actually, they see an Amazon box at our house and they're like, Mom, you could have thrifted that. I'm like, oh, God. But they're serious, because if you keep it from going to the landfill, you win, and so does the planet. So the more we reduce, reuse, recycle of everything, the less, and I'm even talking about mine tailing piles where we're actually pulling the rare earths out of those rather than digging a new mine. There are all kinds of ways that we can be great, efficient, amazing, and great for keeping our national parks the way we like them, our national forests. I have profound faith and optimism in the direction we're headed right now. I actually think that boots on the ground Americans are making an incredible transition, and I just wish I could tell my European friends all about it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, that was great. So for Dr. Russell and for our visitors, this club is very committed to the concept of literacy. And so what we ask our speakers to do is sign a book that we then donate to our Make Way for Books library. And so this book is called Commotion in the Ocean. Is that great? So we're going to ask you to sign this so that we can, there's a pen. Give that in. All right. Now we get to wish happy birthday to, starting with Mr. Scott Vaughn. Scottsy, come on up here. Scott's been with almost every single media outlet in Tucson. So happy birthday, Scott Vaughn.
Thank you so much. I'm glad I wrote something down because I'm sitting next to Mitch, and I don't ever want to give a speech near when he gives a speech. Look, I'm really sorry that I don't know many of you, and I think that's recent years and perfect attendance escaped me, partly because I now live farther away from this facility than you do. But maybe it's also about my age. The end of summer, I'll become a 25-year member of this club. I joined to help provide community service and to build my Merrill Lynch business and to create lifetime friends. It all happened. A lot of you are here, and I just love you. Brett Houston had proposed me for membership, and at my first meeting, I sat next to Lute Olson. Not lucky him, huh? 1 year, this club acquired 600 wheelchairs. Do you remember that, you old-timers? Our members made donations to secure the purchase. And then about a dozen members traveled to Mexico to provide the wheelchairs to those who were very much in need. Kathy Kitagawa and I proudly led this project. On the day that I lifted several recipients into their wheelchair, it was on that day that I became a Rotarian. It was really, really magic. Roger Harwell chose me as his sergeant at arms. He knew that was a mistake. I was elected president for the 2009 year. 'Twas an eventful year, all positive thanks to my extraordinary board members. Not like now. Well, in my year, some of the things we accomplished is we created this astounding electronically delivered Tucson and replaced a huge expense on weekly mailing. And we also made it so business members could now become sponsors of the club and receive predictable results expanding their business, like Harlow Gardens, like Wellsprings Financial Partners, you know the ones. So for 10 years, I was honored to be the voice of the Rotary at public address announcer as well of our own Classics Car Show. I'll just never forget that. 4 years ago, I was entered in the Arizona Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame. But best of all, this year, Margie and I celebrated our wedding anniversary number 60.
And speaking of memory lane, how many of you remember American Bandstand? How many remember? Mr. Scott Vaughn danced on that show when he was 12. How cool is that? And speaking of showbiz, our next birthday boy is going to be, have you ever heard Silvertone Mitch here on the radio? So he has been raising money for NPR for more than 20 years, and he'll be doing it again this weekend. So happy birthday, and thank you, Mr. Mitch Pizik.
So like Scott, I've been here 25 years too, give or take 20 of those. Every day, we actually make 30,000 decisions. And thanks to the people in this room, I know at least one a week I do right. And that's coming here. It's a very, very easy decision. I have so many friends here. I have so many professional associates here. And I respect everyone here, you know, and if you have any complaints, though, it's Mark Irving's fault that I'm here, so, and he would love to hear any complaints that you have. But this is a wonderful place, and it just keeps getting better. It just keeps getting better, and I love being part of it. So Dan, you know, like we discussed, I'd like to make a nice contribution to the scholarship fund. And out of both respect and fear, I'd like to make a donation to DOT's dessert fund. Thank you.
All right, where's Matt Blair? You want to auction it off, Matt? Thank you, Matt Blair. Do you want to thank you, Mitch. Where's Matt? There we go. You want to do an auction later? Okay. A very fun thing is introduction of a new member. So today, it's my privilege to introduce you to Michelle Spetnagel, a Rotarian who's new. There's Michelle. Come on up. Okay. Her family moved to Tucson in 1976, and at Palo Verde and Saguaro, she got her high school fix. She's worked as a manager for restaurants and retail while raising 3 kids alone after her husband bailed. When her youngest daughter started school at the U, Michelle enrolled and went back to school too. She earned her bachelor's and her master's degree, became a social worker, and learned about recovery. She met Ward, an electrician, and from that little spark, grew an electric company, a marriage, and a walk in the park. If you've seen them together, that's true. She loves motorcycles, camping, and animal rescue, fostering dogs, helping people, and her 9 grandkids, too. She manages programs for Banner in recovery and resilience. That they are so successful is a sign of her brilliance. She's vice president of NAMI, a behavioral health support group. So help me welcome Michelle Spetnagel to our great Rotary troop.
I love that. It's so much fun.
Now say something while I give you
Hi, everybody. I am really grateful to be a member of the Rotary, and everybody has been just so gracious and welcoming, and I can't wait to meet the rest of you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, here we go. All right. Thank you, Michelle. And to introduce our next newest member is Mr. Chuck Sawyer. Right, or Dean?
And Miss Jeannie Zita.
I haven't written we're going to do, okay. So Chuck Sawyer and Jeannie Zita are going to introduce our next dynamic duo.
Okay. Well, I am delighted to introduce Sherry Tobin, who moved here from Sacramento with her husband Bill last year. They have 2 sons, Patrick and Daniel, and 2 grandkids who live in Omaha. They also hosted many Rotary Youth Exchange students over their years, and those are friends all over. Sherry was born in Chicago, moved around during her younger years, and settled in California, where she graduated from high school. That's where she met Bill, her high school sweetheart. She earned her bachelor's in nursing at Cal State University in Sacramento and her master's in healthcare administration at California College for Health Science. Sherry worked for the Permanente Medical Group, NCAL, as an RN manager. She managed multiple clinical departments, including COVID operations during the pandemic, and she's done a lot of things of pulling together the pediatric oncology nurses in the whole region, sharing expertise and things like that. What I was delighted by when I met her at the new member table when they were first considering joining here was I love the fact that she'd been a Rotarian already since 2010, and back at the El Dorado Hills Rotary Club, she'd served as the Youth Services Chair, the Club Service Chair, the Speakers Chair, the Club Foundation Chair, and the Rotary Youth Exchange Club Liaison, and she was Club President in 2019 and 20. She also played a district role there in District 5180, where she was on the Rotary Youth Exchange Committee and was the Rotary Youth Exchange Chair for the district for 4 years. So we just had a lot to talk about. And she also was on the foundation chair there as the Paul Harris Fellow Chair. And she was an assistant governor in 2020 to 2024. She has many resources to bring to our club. She's a delightful person to get to know. She wrapped it up. She had said she loves Rotary. She hopes to be able to provide service here. She has a servant heart and looks forward to making new friends and having fun through service, and having sold car show tickets with her and Bill before they even officially became members. It was just really fun to work with them. So I hope you all get to know them and know her as well as Bill. She's really fun. And stop and say hi today, because they leave tomorrow for Wisconsin for the summer. You want to add anything?
I just want to say thank you, and I'm excited to be a member of the club. And yes, we are leaving tomorrow, but we look forward to helping. We'll be watching online, and we'll be really involved when we get back. So thank you.
It's not every day we get to have a husband and wife join at the same time, so we thought we'd have some fun with it. And today, it's my pleasure to introduce Bill Tobin, a proof that Rotary can attract both serious people with serious credentials and a good sense of humor. His sponsor, Alan, couldn't be here today, so I'm filling in, but I think we're really lucky as a club to have both Bill and Sherry join us, because they really do come from a deep Rotary experience, wide-ranging talents, and thankfully, as they're getting ready to retire, no visible signs of slowing down. So that's good. You kind of heard that. They got lots of stuff they can still do, which is great. And before Bill has a chance to kind of tell us his own stories about his background, I figured I'd give you a little background on him. He grew up in San Francisco area, in the Bay Area, on the east side in Richmond. His career began as an inspector of nuclear power plants. That means that he spent 30 years literally making sure things didn't blow up or melt down, and that's a pretty strong resume item. Somewhere along the way, he also got involved in Rotary, because apparently one high responsibility job wasn't enough. And after retiring from nuclear plants, Bill went on and decided to do something different. So he went back to the University of Pacific and earned a certificate in non-profit management. After retiring from nonprofit, and so from there, he became deeply involved in Shelterbox, a program that we all know well and have supported for years, and eventually served as the Rotary Relationship Manager for 7 years. In that year, Bill traveled widely and shared the Shelterbox mission to more than 450 clubs. He was a keynote speaker and facilitator at seminars, district conferences, Zone Institute meetings. In fact, Bill was so identified with Shelterbox that his email was shelterboxbill@gmail.com. gmail.com. It's right there. Absolutely. So as Gina was saying, they're both very involved in Rotary Youth Exchange. Bill served also as the president of the Rotary Club of El Dorado Hills in 2010 to 11. He was an assistant district governor and worked a wide range of Rotary initiatives and committees, both at the club level and at the international level. So if you look Bill up online, you may notice, if you go to his high profile, a couple things you might not know about him. He was a radio disc jockey and had a radio talk show. He does love telling stories, and if you spend some time with him, you'll figure that out, which is great. And also, he has won the U.S. Presidential Citation for Service 7 times, and that was all times that he was working at Shelterbox. Bill and Sherry will be with us, as Jeannie was saying, for most of the year, but they spend the summers up in Wisconsin. So please join me in welcoming the newest member of the Rotary Club of Tucson, Bill Tobin.
Can I get my PowerPoint up, please? Yeah. Well, let's see. When I was with Shelterbox, I went to Southwest Pets to represent Shelterbox, and it was right after the LA fires, so we were really popular because everyone wanted to know what we were doing after those fires. And Leo Lawrenson, an upcoming district governor, you probably all know him, and Don Jorgensen, a past governor. I think they let everybody in Arizona know that I was moving here with my wife Sherry. So there was visits from virtually every club in the district. And some were like sales calls, like, we really want to have you in the club. You could be the next president. Come on in the club. Dot simply came up and introduced herself, and we talked a little bit about Tucson. And she said, well, if you find time, please come visit our club. And that was it. It wasn't a hard sell. It was a simple, come and visit us. And we did, and we sat at the little red table, and nobody came and sat with us for a while. But eventually, we had some volunteers come and get to know who we are, and I guess they said we were okay for the club. So really looking forward to plugging in anywhere I possibly can. I do have a wide range of so knowledge and stuff. I'm one of those jack of all trades when it comes to Rotary. I've done everything from emceeing events to running them to having heart attacks just right after them. So there's lots of fun in store with me. Thank you very much, and it's great to be in this club.
Oops. 3 new members in one day. How cool is that, huh? I know, yay Rotary. So, announcements. So you've got, oh wait, sorry. Get down again.
Wow. I guess I'll just take the money and go to dinner. I don't know. So I had the doc pull the ticket. So the number is 521-167. Who said that? Oh, there you go. Wow, you said you were going to win today. He said he was buying tickets today because Diana wasn't here. And unfortunately, the big pot, almost $2,000, is the 5, so you didn't get it. But you got $90, and I'll bring it out to you. So congratulations. Now you may do announcements.
Sorry, Dan. Okay, announcements. So on your tables is a list of all the upcoming events that we have. So it's on the website, it's in the bulletin, it's on your tables. So please come join us and do fun stuff. As you can see, there we go. There's all kinds of things that's happening. There were no red badge selfies for this week, but I know there'll be at least one next. So take those pictures. Giving moments. So as you guys know, we've been donating money to all different kinds of organizations. So we're not giving out the check today because it's already been in the mail, but Mr. Mark Irvin is going to talk to us for a minute, Mark, about the contributions that we gave to an organization called Winers and Diners, spelled W-I-N-E-R-S, not W-H-I-N-E-R-S. So Mark, tell us about it.
Well, first, Dot, thanks for the donation. Winers and Diners Foundation got $1,000 from the Rotary Club of Tucson through the Board of Directors and through Dot. This group is a pretty amazing group. Started in 2007, has one simple mission, and that's to be the best civilian asset available to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. In our group here at Rotary, we've got 10 of those folks that are members. I was kind of looking around. There's probably another 30 that are what we call extra special frequent guests. And the money that we got from Rotary, we matched. And we sent $2,000 to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base Operation Warm Heart. It's a fund that is run by the first sergeants, and it's money that they use during the year to be impactful. We leave them probably $20,000 of our own money there every year or more, and every month we get a little update from them on how they might have spent that money. And so I asked them to give us just an example of how the money that Rotary that we met was spent. So there was an airman whose mother died, and he was in the theater, and they got him to San Antonio, but his family couldn't get there. And so because of your money and our money, we were able to fly that person from here to San Antonio and then put him up for a couple of days for their memorial service for their family. So all that's money that's run by the first sergeants. I mean, Cliff and Robin can tell you what the impact that the first sergeants have at the base. That's who works with all the families on base. And so our goal is to be real simple. That's just to be a place that the base can look at, and that we're there to help families, and we know that's what Rotary is about. So thank you for the donation. We matched it. It'll continue to do good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Rotary, for your contributions, which make that contribution possible. So thank you kindly. Coming up, next week we have our Eat, because Rotary eats, right? So our event around town. So if you want to host a restaurant, host at a restaurant and just have your Rotary friends join you, it can be anywhere. So call Dorina and let her know where you want to meet for lunch and how many people can be there. And then everybody else shows up on the 10th, and it'll be our Eat event. So we won't meet here. We'll be out in the community. The week after that, June 17th, is the presentation will be from the Children's Museum of Tucson as they enter their 40th year Bobby will be running that meeting and launching the project that we're going to be proposing with the Children's Museum. Because I won't be here, I will be at the international conference. Thank you, Bobby. And then the week after that, June 24th, is our change of administration party. So it'll be a party, we'll be celebrating ourselves, and it'll be my last meeting and Bobby's first meeting. Well, sort of, first meeting. So next we have Mr. Dan Kalm for our membership minute.
All right, membership. So the old adage goes, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I was talking to a member last week at George's Garage, and I thought it was interesting that she said she doesn't know enough members all the time to feel comfortable referring people for business. And I said, what makes you most comfortable about referring people for business? And she said, well, I really kind of need to get to know the person. If I get to know the person, then I'm more comfortable referring. And I thought, isn't that really true? Like the more we know somebody, the more we're more comfortable with referring stuff. So today I thought, I saw this article, and it was an article about, and I just heard Scott Vaughn say, he's not been here enough, he doesn't know enough people. How many people are comfortable talking to other people and getting to know them? But the 5 best questions, allegedly, from some big study that was just done and published today about getting to know somebody are, what have you been obsessed with lately? What keeps you busy? What have you been watching, reading, or listening that you recommend? Who or what makes you laugh the hardest? And what do you wish more people knew about you? Those are allegedly the 5 best 5 best friendship questions to get started if you're interested in making friends with somebody. I thought it was a very interesting thing. I think we have a lot of opportunities. Hard to make friends at a big meeting like this, but when you go to something like the home hospitality or other events, these are things that you might want to start doing and kind of really, if you're trying to figure out how to integrate into the club better, get to know some different folks in the club might be in your best interest, and that's the membership minute.
All right. Thank you, Dan. All right, Mr. Kalm. And now we get to hear from Ms. Jeannie Zita for the Classics Car Show Minute, the Rotary Classics Car Show Minute.
Okay, so
Minute.
So leading and following up with what Dan just said, how do we get good car show sales along the way? 1 week at a time or 2 weeks at a time and one sale at a time. So from when I reported, I think 2 weeks ago, we are up about another 0.2% or so. We're now at 3,653 tickets sold, and that's because of both the recent sales at Little Anthony and also online sales. And we are accepting money. We have one envelope in today. We'd be happy to know every week we'll be there to collect money from those who are selling their tickets. On the next slide, just to let you know, we have Carrie Benjamin hit the 50 club in the 50.99. On the next page, we have Adam English who hits the, so you can go to the next slide. I'm just highlighting the newbies on the list. Adam English hit the 100 above club there. So that's really exciting. And then the final slide, some of the things that when we sent out that ticket survey and asked people what could help you sell tickets, one of the offerings was one was QR codes and the short URLs, and I have been giving those out to people, and if you'd like one, please let me know if you haven't asked for one yet before. But one suggestion to help was also having a sample text message. Now, I'm not the best text sender, but I did try one, and what it says up there, if you can't read the fine print, was for every $10 ticket you buy, you could come to the Tucson Classics Car Show on October 24th and get a chance to win this 2026 C8 Corvette Stingray Coupe or 4 other prizes, and the proceeds benefit 3 local charities chosen by my Rotary Club. TIA, see you there. Get your tickets at, and there's my short URL, so that if somebody clicked on it, I would automatically be credited for that sale. So I will send this out or post it somewhere that if you like that sample, but I know a lot of you are much more creative with what you do on text messages, and if you have some samples, I'd like to get examples from other people to include in a little mini packet of samples, not just mine. So please let me know if you have some, and if you want that QR code, let me know soon, because I'm going to be going on vacation the 19th to the 30th, so there will be a block of time when I won't be able to give them out. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jeannie. And Mr. Dave White is coming up, and he's not going to talk about the car show. He's got something really cool and fun to share with us.
On May 20th, 5:15 a.m., I got to officiate this wedding between Peter Behan and Scarlett. Isn't that cool? 5:15 a.m. in Reddington Pass. Now, y'all don't know this probably, but Peter proposed in 3 languages: Chinese, Spanish, and English. And she said yes in 3 languages.
All right. Dan Asia, where are you? Has a Happy Jackson for us. There he is.
Okay, I'm going to get serious on you for about a minute. Happy Jackson. Happy is the adjective for happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So I'm a composer, former professor, and now president of a think tank based here in Tucson called Polyhymnia. We have the nature of Polyhymnia is we support culture and the arts. And that means visual art, dance, music. So all those things that people love to do and go hear and go see. Our present project is Jefferson Lives. It's in celebration of 2026. What's this year? Everybody know? Our 250th birthday. Right. We're not downplaying it. We think that culture precedes politics. Precedes politics. We're creating an opera that's 50 minutes long. The libretto's done. That's the words. The music is almost all done. We're going to workshop it here the end of October. Then it goes to New York for its premiere. We also have performances up in Phoenix with Arizona Opera and in Roanoke, and believe it or not, in Monticello. We need lots of money. So I'm leaving flyers over here for all of you to look at. How can you do this and why should you do this? We're Rotary. We do lots of things for the community. But this is the center of what we are. This is a desert. What's in the desert? What happened in the desert? A guy named Moses saw a burning bush in the silent desert and saw that great things came from that, right? This is one nation under God. Mr. David, who then became king, wrote Psalms, the last one which you all know, Psalm 150. Praise God with what? With the horn, with a lyre, with cymbals. That's how we celebrate life. Yes, we teach our children to read. We want to create great things in the environment, but we don't live for those things. Those things are there. We live for the great things that make great moments in our lives. I'm going to ask all of you to think about contributing as individuals. I don't care if it's 25 or 50 bucks. As businesses, come on, 250 or 500. And the big hitters who do investments and philanthropy, a lot more. Thank you very much.
Dan. Thank you, Dan. Okay, another Happy Jackson, this time from Miss Nina Trasoff.
Hi there. This, for me, is just, it's a joyous thing, and I hope you'll join me. Today is the 3rd day of Gay Pride Month, a time to acknowledge people who are part of our community, who sometimes face unnecessary obstacles in their lives. It's a reflect on the greater humanity that unites all of us. And so, I wish us all a happy Gay Pride Month.
Thank you, Nina. So thanks to everyone who presented today. Thank you to our virtual guests for being online. On your tables, the blue, sorry. Okay, let me start over here. So on your tables are the blue cups here. And these are our scholarship cups. So whatever money that you put into the cups go into scholarships for students at Pima College and the University of Arizona. So please, if you have any extra money hanging around, and even if you don't, put it in anyway. So scholarship cups, thank you for that. And there's also a QR code on them. So if you don't have cash, you can do the QR code and donate on our website. So happy birthday, Scott and Mitch and Gary Hirsch. Thank you Dr. Russell, for speaking to us. Fabulous. Very interesting information. And we appreciate that. And thank you to Clark, our cookie monster, Clark Goding from Beasley Mitchell CPAs. So thank you for that. Welcome to the club. Michelle is over there, and Bill and Sherry over there. So thank you all. And remember that next week is an Eat Around Town event, so I'll sign up and go to that. The week after that, we've got the Children's Museum, and on the 24th,